One of the key themes throughout the Bible story is how God raises up the humble and brings down the proud. And nowhere in the Old Testament is that more clearly demonstrated than in the story of Hannah found in 1 Samuel 1 and 2. There we learn that Hannah is a young married woman living in the hill country of Ephraim, and that she is barren, unable to have children. And in a world where blessing and prosperity are rooted in bearing sons, Hannah is despised and looked down on by all her people. And so Hannah brings her great sorrow before the Lord in prayer, where in just one sentence she refers to herself as a servant 3 times, and then humbly asks God for a son, promising to give him back in service to God all the days of his life. Following this prayer, it says she left there with her face no longer sad, and soon after she gave birth to Samuel. And in response to God hearing and answering her prayer, Hannah prays once more. Her prayer begins with praise and thanksgiving, saying, "My heart exults in the Lord, my horn is exalted in the Lord. My mouth derides my enemies because I rejoice in your salvation." But then Hannah goes on to connect God's particular actions toward her with his greater purposes in the world, to raise up the humble and bring down the proud. And so, reminiscent of the Beatitudes in Matthew 5, Hannah acknowledges 7 ironic reversals that demonstrate God's upside-down kingdom. How God makes strong the weak, how he fills the hungry with food, how he brings life where there's death, how he restores the sick, how he makes the poor rich and exalts the humble. Finally, Hannah's prayer ends with a vision that is far outside the scope of her current situation. She not only thanks God for reversing her barrenness and shame, she furthermore prays for God to reverse the course of this whole world, saying, "The Lord will judge the ends of the earth. He will give strength to his king and exalt the horn of his anointed." The climactic ending calls forth God's promise of a coming king, a king who would set the world right and bring God's upside-down kingdom to cosmic completion. That anointed one, of course, would be Jesus, who by his life, death, resurrection, and ascension has raised up the humble and brought down the proud. And so, how have you seen this pattern at work in your life? Where have you seen God reverse your circumstances? Where have you seen him raise up the humble and oppose the proud? Where have you seen God's upside-down kingdom become a reality? Wherever you've seen him at work, praise and thank him just like Hannah. And then, like Hannah and like Jesus, pray for God's kingdom to come and his will to be done right here on earth as it is in heaven. And know that just as he did for Hannah, God will use our humble prayers to bring his upside-down kingdom to completion.